I need to second I don't think it was the number that was here.
I wanted to get out of the house. I've had to be Sandy sat for 6 days. I wanted to be out of the house.
Feel good to get out?
It does feel good to get out. I was out for a couple hours yesterday, but I had to be watched, so today I was able to. Yeah, I had to be Sandy sat.
Just don't call me in. Hey, how you doing today? Can you do me a favor? Sandy, make a motion to add the, you don't have to list the dog on. Yeah.
Why did everyone get quiet?
I got that.
You know, I just.
Oh, it is.
I'm gonna read the email. Okay. Because I got the pins as well.
Tom?
Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you all for coming out tonight. This is a great experience for not only the kids, but the village board. But at this time, I will call to order the regularly scheduled board meeting for the Village of Midlothian, November 8th, 2017 at 7 p.m. Roll call, please.
Trustee Cagney?
Here.
Trustee Crowley?
Here.
Trustee Gillis? Here. Trustee Ivan? Here. Trustee Killedy? Trustee Kreis?
Here.
Mayor Lura?
Here.
You have a quorum.
At this time, will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence for our fallen veterans and a Midlothian resident, Kelly Harris, who passed away tragically on Monday. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Is there any members of any village commissions or committees here tonight? Is there any members of any local organizations here tonight?
George Jones, Midlothian, VFW, American Legion, 691.
Well, thank you all for coming out. So at this time, we have the distinct pleasure of hearing from a group of students from Mrs. Weather's 5th grade class from Central Park. Now, a while back, Trustee Ivan and myself spent some time in Mrs. Weather's class, and the kids spoke to us and told us their ideas on how they thought they could make Midlothian better, and I think we were so impressed with their work and their hard work and effort that and their ideas that we thought it was a great idea to bring them out to a village board meeting and have them present their ideas to the whole village board. So with that said, Mrs. Weathers.
Thank you very much, everyone, for welcoming us back again. We have 4 groups tonight. Thank you all our families for coming out and supporting us, and the local people as well. The first group is a company called the You're Not Alone Company, and they want to bring a food truck to the neighborhood. Hey, boys, come on up. Thank you. Appreciate it.
together, you're not alone company. Our mission is to have a food truck that provides free, healthy food options to senior citizens and the homeless. What do you mean? Well, homeless people are people without homes, and some senior citizens may have a handicap. We want to reach out and help them.
Hannah's our food truck driver will borrow our truck and put in a fridge, microwave, and a stove. She too thinks that senior citizens and homeless people need to spend, so she is willing to make this donation. We will roam around town to senior citizens buildings and bring them food. Our food truck will supply fruit, salad, tacos, and veggie burgers. Our goal is to visit senior citizens buildings on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Then on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we will park our truck in the parking lot at St. Chris. This gives the homeless an opportunity to come and get a healthy snack. During this time, we will also set up a lemonade stand. Custom lemonade will cost $1.50. With our lemonade stand money, you will continue to buy the ingredients for our food truck. But there is a catch. We want you to join the fun. We will set up a tent and accept your donations at St. Chris. Please consider donating meat, vegetables, and fruit. We hope you can join us. Once again, our mission is to give homeless people what they no longer have and give senior citizens a better, healthier meal. We want to show respect for all and that the old and the poor are not alone. Thank you for your time, Jose, Miguel, Hannah, and we have one member, David Garcia, but he's not here anymore.
Very nice.
Any questions?
No questions from the board? Outstanding work. Great job.
All right, our next presenter is from the KFK Lawn Service.
Hi, my name is... Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Felipe, and I'm here representing the KFK Lawn Service. We want to help people that don't have time to mow their lawn. The people we are targeting are those that might be on vacation or away on work trips. We believe in maintaining yards, keep home intruders away by helping homeowners take care of their lawns. While they are on vacation, we hope to continue to keep Midlothian a safe and clean neighborhood. We charge $30 per yard. We will donate half of the money to a church. The other half will go back into our company to buy materials like gas for our lawnmowers. Would you rather take a vacation or stay home and mow your lawn? It's easy. Take that vacation. KFK Lawn Service will take care of your yard for you. Does anybody have any questions?
I do, actually. Actually, when we were at the school and you were giving the presentation, you mentioned that there was a discount for seniors, and Trustee Ivan wanted to make sure that he was on that list.
Definitely.
All set, Mayor.
No? All right. Any other questions? Thank you so much. Great job.
All right, our next group is a unique idea to bring sports into the neighborhood. The Midlothian football dog.
I want to add one of my favorite ideas so far.
There we go.
That's all right.
Next number.
Before we start, we would like to thank you for letting us present our idea. Hi, our names are Jamil, Sebastian, and Ryan. Our mission is to build a football dome, and the dome will be at our school. It opens at 7 a.m. and closes at 7 p.m. We will supply red and blue jerseys in United States football.
The football dome will help the community that it will help the community because if we have a football dome, kids will go there to play and well they are there they will meet new people. People do not interact with and like to meet new friends. Our hope is that when we go to football dome will help strangers become neighbors. We are also going to a turkey tournament on Thanksgiving. This holiday game will help bring people together. We will have a tournament sign-up sheet at Midlothian Park District. People may come and sign up any day before Thanksgiving. We will allow up to 25 people per team.
in order to promote our new football dome as well as the turkey tournament. We'll send out flyers out.
Thank you again for your time. We all see you later.
Thank you. It appears that you did some work on your dome. It looks much nicer than the last time I saw it.
How was the weather condition?
And yes, as Trustee Ivan said, this was his favorite out of them all. So we see what we can do to make that happen. I'm sure Trustee Ivan will be in contact with Mrs. Weathers to see what we can do about this dome thing.
Sounds like a plan.
Thank you so much. Great job.
And finally, we have one more group presenting on another food truck idea. Come on up, guys. This is...
Our names are Giovanni, Cody, and Dave. We are going to run a food truck company, supply food and fun to the people of Midlothian. We will park our truck in Bremen High School parking lot. We will serve Mexican favorites like burritos, tacos, and enchiladas. My Uncle Lalo will donate fresh veggies from his garden.
We will get a truck and customize it. Check out the purple paint job and our bright yellow logo. Add fun to everyone's appetite. So we are 10 and we'll get arrested if we try to drive. Have you seen the size of those football players? They're going to eat lots of burritos. Our family members are going to help us with the girls and serve the food.
Our company will make flyers for our food truck. The flyers will say, funky fresh food, be at Bremen by 2 p.m. Our plan is to sell food every Monday and Wednesday after school, and on Saturday afternoon from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. We believe we will help make the Midlothian community stronger by providing a fun place for people and together and eat something special for me.
Hungry? Midlothian food truck serves funky fresh food. Burritos, tacos, enchiladas. Bremen High School, Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Does anyone have any concerns or questions?
I love the fact that you got your family to get involved. Is Uncle Lalo here? Outstanding. It's a great thing you want to do, and we can't be happier that you came here tonight. Any questions? Well, thank you so much.
Great
Thank
job. Well, that does wrap up our portion. I really appreciate all of your support, and let us all come on here tonight.
I just want I just want to say that your kids should be very, very proud of yourselves. You did a great job, and I think the parents should be really proud as well. So, great job. Thank you so much.
Great job.
Lots of future entrepreneurs. It's a big word, you know what that means?
All right. Thank you so much, Sarah. All right, you guys can, unless you want to stay for the rest of the meeting.
Can I go now? Because that's a little lucky.
No, you can't go yet.
So you like the dome, huh? You like the dome, Carl?
I love that. 2K or go home. 50 million maybe?
I told you it was Rosser Park. They both got Rosser. You said it's Central Park, Memorial Park.
Oh.
Then we go to Rosser.
Memorial Park would be better for me. And they would probably eat food fun. We're probably going to have a great bit, please. Football and gold, it's too close to the line.
Way too close to, yeah.
To whose colors? Oh, you pay attention to this.
North Professional North. But they're not Pampers anymore. Oh, yeah, they are.
Are they? Yeah, so you can't do it.
All right, at this time, we'll move on to public comment. If you have a comment and would like to be made a matter of public record, please stand and state your name. Carol.
My name is Carol. My address is 14433 Costner Avenue in Midlothian, Illinois. William Desmond, as you continue to resist helping by not fixing the sump pump tampering and the driveway next door, you are causing things to get worse. She is now suspected of tampering with the sump pump pipe right outside the back wall of her house, as well as the tampering with the sump pump hose many times now. The basement floor now has 2 cracks in the floor in front of the furnace. The cracks in the wall are leaking more. I want that person next door to leave me and this property alone. This is a form of harassment, and you, William B. Simone, are a part of it by not taking care of the problems going on.
Thank you, Carol. I believe Superintendent D. Simone has responded, as well as code enforcer Skip Roboten. I know that this is very frustrating for you, and I know that this has been an ongoing issue for you, and that I can just continue to assure you that we understand what you're saying. We're going to do everything we can to make it right at some point. So, thanks. Anyone else? This time I'll close the floor to public comment and move on to the consent agenda. On tonight's consent agenda is the approval to print and mail the community rating system letter and rain-ready guide to residents and business owners not to exceed $6,100. Number 2, approval to execute a storage facility lease with extra space stores not to exceed $1,200 per year. Number 3, approval of an ordinance amending Title 5, Chapter 6 of the Midlothian Village Code to increase the number of Class A liquor licenses. Number 4, approval of board meeting minutes from August 23rd, 2017. Approval of committee meeting minutes for September 6, 2017. And number 6, approval of board meeting minutes for September 13th, 2017. Is there another one we'd like to?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to add the list of bills to the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Voice vote? Voice vote or roll call?
Roll call.
All right.
Roll call?
Roll call.
Okay. Trustee Crowley?
Aye.
Trustee Ivan?
Aye.
Trustee Kigney?
Aye.
Trustee Gillis? Aye. Trustee Kreis?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, so number 7 on tonight's consent agenda will be the list of bills that were provided to the board prior to the meeting.
And for the record, Trustee Killies joined the meeting at 7:16.
All right, so does any trustee want any of the items taken off the consent agenda? Hearing no motion, or I will accept the motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion?
I would just like to make one comment, and it's just for the record. September 13 minutes reflect under the president's business, under the first bullet, about the legal services. And I just wanted to point out again that it states here, Trustee Killey questioned whether we would receive an itemized list of what was completed under the retainer to include hours and the amount of time used. Mayor LaRue confirmed that we would. We know that that's not an option, but I just wanted to bring to the board's attention, as I started to dig into writing another grant, which is the Illinois Housing Development Authority IDA Round 3 grant, that there are opportunities in these grants, not all of them, but on various grants, that we can get reimbursed for attorney services. And if we don't have itemized bills, we are not going to be able to recoup those costs when they present themselves. So I just wanted the board to be made aware of that.
Well, I would suggest that if we are successful in getting those grants, and if Attorney Valadez is required to review any documentation relative to those grants, that we would ask him to include an itemization on his bill for those such specific matters, because reviewing those documents might fall outside of the purview of his monthly retainer anyway. So I don't think that would be a problem to ask him to give us an itemization for when he does work on the grant-related items.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Kami.
Aye.
Trustee Gillis. Aye. Trustee Crowley.
Aye.
Trustee Ivan. Aye. Trustee Killily. Aye. Trustee Kreis.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to trustee business, trustee Kreis.
I have some updates. We had a very, what I thought was, it was long, but I thought a very successful kickoff on Friday, which started at 9 a.m. on Keep America Beautiful. And I want to thank those who attended, and again, Jackie Hill's our team leader. And thank you, Jackie, for finding this opportunity and guiding the team to this point. And I especially, firefighter Ramirez was here for the first hour of the training presentation, but I especially want to thank Superintendent DeSimone and Chief Delaney, who spent, 5 hours? It was a lot. We have homework to do, and I want to thank them for taking the lead on our very large homework assignment, which is the litter index. We covered a lot, but we have a lot of work to do. And litter isn't just garbage. Litter is abandoned cars. There's a broad definition of litter. Attorney Valadez, I did send something to you today that needs to be quickly reviewed. So I want to thank everybody. I think the anticipated target date for the litter index is about 3 weeks before we get snow on the ground. And stay tuned. We have a lot of homework. Jackie has homework. I have homework to do. But I think it was a great kickoff. Sue Smith was just incredible. I thought just amazing. Jackie, do you have anything you want to add?
I think the materials Sue left us, I just had time to go through everything, but the education box for youth in the schools and whatnot was a grant from the Wrigley Foundation, and it's very nice. They have books geared for children's education, or doing all kinds of things to create awareness about litter and problems. So, and I also thought that I like the progression, the fact that, we're going to take it one step at a time. It's not something we can dive into, and it was exceptionally encouraging, the response we got from Chief Delaney, that when they talked about mapping your village into 5 sectors, and then 10 smaller sectors within each sector, and doing this litter assessment. And I always love a problem solver, and he just said, well, hey, we can do that because we already have the mapping, we're out there every day, and, we can just do the 1-4 assessment. And that's nice because everybody's busy, but, some people are more problem solvers than others. And I'm sure the trainer, it rubbed her the right way too, because she needs people to say you can do it. And just do it as kind of what we do every day. So, it was nice. I think we just had one person leaving on this one, that was Chris Parker, and he had another appointment, so it was nice that everybody turned out. And I know from myself, it's going to take a lot of thinking, going through all the points, a lot of the answers I don't know, so I'm probably going to have some help. Not being a resident in Midlothian for many years, I don't know how a lot of things work, so I'm going to have to reach out to the trainer, somebody who will be very nice to work with, very energetic, very skilled, and the people skills are just, so I think it'll be a win-win situation.
And Karen Rasmus was here from Oak Park, and she's headed this up in Oak Park for 17 years, so she's got a tremendous amount of experience. She worked in Public Works, just the things she told us about recycling that she shared with us. I mean, it was a huge learning curve for me that day. And Karen's on the board at the state level, so we've got, national, state, and I think in the long run, it's going to help everybody. Everybody's jobs, once we kick this off, should be easier. All the departments. So stay tuned. We got a lot of work ahead of us, but we got started. Yesterday afternoon, I received an email. Hold on just a moment. I had it here. Here it is. From Cedric Robertson, who is the lead engineer on the Natalie Creek Flood Mitigation Project. He's the lead engineer from MWRD, and Superintendent Sperry and Engineer Nagel were copied on this as well, but I'm going to read it forward because we're going to need some of your assistance. Hello, Karen, ma'am. Unfortunately, I need to push out the projected advertisement pre-bid meeting and site walkthrough for our Natalie Creek project to the spring of 2018. You can cancel the Midlothian boardroom reservation for November 28th, 2017. If available, I was wondering if you can tentatively reserve the village boardroom for April 3rd and 17th, Tuesdays, 2018, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The meeting will be held on one day, but I wanted to request 2 different dates just in case an issue comes up. If we are able to schedule the pre-bid meeting prior to April, I will let you know as soon as possible, and I have reserved those rooms, this room for those 2 dates. The contract development status is as follows. We are still in the 98% design phase. 1, we have 11 easement agreements out of 58. A, 5 out of 25 from Oak Forest. B, 13 out of 33 from Midlothian. 2, to date, we have received permits from the following agencies. A, IEPA Water Pollution Control Permit, Sanitary Sewer Permit, relocation. B, IEPA Public Water Supply Construction Permit, Water Main relocation. C, Will South Cook Soil and Water Conservation District for soil erosion and sediment control plan approval. D, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Regional Permit, RP3, Transportation Projects, RP9, Maintenance Projects, and RP10, Bank Stabilization and General Conditions Approvals. E, IDOT Detour Permit, Pre-authorization approval, which has contingencies such as receiving the insurance certificate from the contractor, and F, BP Pipelines approval to proceed with work around their pipeline at Costner Avenue. 3, it is anticipated that we will receive IDNR's permit by the end of November or the beginning of December. 4, I should be able to get the revised Midlothian IGA to the village for your review before the end of November. 5, we are still working on completing miscellaneous required tasks such as property surveys prior to acquiring the large parcel needed for the Costner Basin. 6, lastly, we are still awaiting a decision from Oak Forest in regard to the possibility of executing an IGA between MWRD and Oak Forest. If you don't mind, I was wondering if the village can continue its efforts in reaching out to residents that received our MWRD easement grant paperwork and ask them to give MWRD a call if they have questions and/or concerns in regard to our easement grant request. I was also wondering if you can provide a status in regard to the 6 parcels, part of the proposed Costner Basin, the village was going to acquire through the Cook County Land Bank. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for your help in time, Cedric. So, with Engineer Nagel's efforts, because Cedric is out of the office and so is Joe Kratzer, worked around them and received the map of who has, who signed and who has not. So I think Engineer Nagel or myself can share that with the board. And we can hopefully start contacting these individuals again to try to get them to move this thing along.
back over Labor Day, I had this very same map from Engineer Nagel, and I tried to reach out to many of these people. Nicole provided me the telephone numbers that we had on our village records, and most of them have been disconnected because so many people have gone to cell phone, and we don't have telephone numbers for the majority of these people. I'll go through my records and tell you whose phone numbers
Okay.
I do have and who I don't have, and who I left messages for.
Okay. Okay.
And I think we're just gonna have to.
We may have to do some door knocking,
Or, send them a letter from,
I'm
village.
actually thinking, I think we should probably ask MWRD for the easement agreements for each of these, because I actually had one resident call me and said they never got the second notification that they sent out. Remember, Joe, like 3 weeks ago, they sent out, 2-3 weeks ago? So I think it might not be a bad idea for us to get those in hand and maybe with some, I want to help them now that they've asked for it. I think we need to help them. Everybody okay? What do we got going on over there?
Allergies.
Oh,
Sorry.
Engineer Nagel, we met with the group on Kilpatrick, all the residents of Kilpatrick. I see 9 out of 11 did sign. Is that something we want to do in another area, maybe up here on Kilbourne, 147 Kilbourne, the group there that haven't signed yet, or we want to do
Mayor, just so
another?
you know, that meeting was set up by the MWRD, and they selected that position, I think, as a relationship with Joe, is that correct?
The residents reached out to us.
And everybody on this list was invited. But if we want to move it up to, say, another area where we don't have people signed up, that might be a good idea. We ask MWRD to be there for it.
Some of those folks, I know a lot of these people by name,
I know a few, yeah.
address, and I know some of them were at the meetings here.
and they still haven't signed.
I
two of them.
personally spoke to the owners of the apartment buildings who own, number 37 and number 39.
Well, we met with that group,
Right.
with Cedric and yourself, and
Yeah, and some of them were here at the
Right.
public meeting that we had after that. They all sound like they were on
Thank you.
board. They were the ones, though, that were working on the parking lot, remember?
right.
They were trying to-
They want a new parking lot out of the deal.
Yeah. Now, I found it very difficult to find the owner of the vacant lot, which is
Oh,
probably
they know
number
about that.
35.
They're probably going to have to go through condemnation. They know that.
What about number 36? If you look up
That's also
Wilco
vacant
Lands.
land, yeah.
Right, if you Google Wilco Lands, I found Wilco Lands at some obscure address.
I think that was the other one. I think that was the other one, Kathy, that they reached out to me, and I did some research. Nicole assisted, this was a while ago, and we gave MWRD what we came up with, and there were 2 or 3 that they said they were going to have to use alternative means. They could not
Yeah.
contact the owners.
Okay.
It's a detention pond, right?
That's a pond, yeah.
36 looks like a depression, it looks like a retention pond, so
Somebody owned it.
Wilco Lane.
according to their PIN search, yeah.
I know on Maple Lane, they have a pond at the end. From what I heard, that was supposed to be the homeowners in that subdivision. They were to take that over or something. There was some crazy stuff. And the builder was allowed to just walk away from it, so we inherited that.
The village did?
Yeah.
Where's Maple Lane?
That was-
Where's Maple Lane?
Off Central.
Oh, down there,
Between
right,
Linder and
right.
Central.
Right, right, right. I remember now, I've been down
It's
there.
on Linder end of the pond.
Right.
It's Maple Grove.
Right,
something.
that whole big
Yeah.
circular
Do you
street.
want to reach out to Cedric, see if he'd be willing to do another in-the-field
Sure.
meeting with the residents?
Mayor, I think what we should do is try to get a Plan B on this. The Plan B is that what are we going to do if we can't get these easements?
Right.
Is it going to go through condemnation? Condemnation could be for a couple of years.
Well, I think they were going to try to work, Engineer Nagel, I think Cedric said if they were just a couple, they would try to work around those properties. So I think that the real push needs to be trying to
Right,
get
'cause-
these. I mean,
yeah.
some of these people, like on Colmar, I don't understand why they have not signed these easement
Right.
agreements.
Patty, I've talked to Patty several times. I'm not sure what her concern is.
That's why I think if we could get copies of the
I think
agreements.
Jamie signed hers though, didn't she?
No,
No.
She didn't either?
no.
Okay.
We show 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
That's why I think it might be a good idea to get
18 total?
the easement agreements themselves, and maybe we can reach out to some of these people with the agreements.
My point is, we should get a finite date from the MWRD, how long they're going to wait before they go to the plan. It's revise the design or go to condemnation.
I agree with Engineer Nagel. We
Right now,
have to,
it's kind of just
yeah.
going on and on and on.
Because when were the easements sent out?
When we started this one? August, July, August?
Uh-huh. Yeah, here we are 6 months down the road, and now MWRD is asking us to help and reach out to these people.
The one we're talking about that's roll call, how about abandonment?
Pardon me, you can't, abandonment is only, you can't...
For a building?
It has to have a structure, yes.
Okay, can't work for vacant properties.
Not for vacant property. I know that.
No, you know that. Now I know that.
All right, so what are we gonna do? Where we stand? What's
I'm going to
the,
ask Cedric to set up another meeting, say in this area here, the Colmar area maybe. We need a location to have it, we need a resident to host it. And I think that would be the key. We can hopefully, maybe have another meeting down here with the apartments.
Over the counter.
I was surprised more than the different owners. But,
In the meantime, Kathy, you do have some phone numbers?
A few
You
that I
have
was
a
able
few
to,
that are valid?
that are valid, that I did leave. I talked to some of the people, and other numbers I left messages for.
Okay.
I introduced myself as the trustee, I told them why I was calling, yada, yada.
what would you like, Mayor? Want me to contact them and ask you to set up another, hopefully, town hall meeting in the neighborhood?
yeah.
Okay,
I
see what they say.
think that would work well for Kilpatrick. The numbers don't lie, but I don't know. I'm with Superintendent Sperry, a number of these people that we know and we're here, and so
Joe, if you have cell phone numbers for any of these people, I'll be happy to take them, call them.
Facebook contacts.
Or if you want to.
I could probably get 2 numbers in Kilpatrick for my brother-in-law. One of them is next door to me. But I don't get, we met
Right.
the driveway right in his house.
Right.
Right.
I can call a few people that I personally know, I mean,
I can help too. If you want to go door to door, I can go with you.
Just be,
That's fine.
yeah, be clear that
I would say pursuant to
I'm going to put you in a wagon though, Sandy.
what the village engineer said, I think these
That's right,
individuals have to
please.
know that there's a deadline for them to voluntarily sign the easement documents. They have a right not to sign. I think the problem that we're having right now is that they haven't been informed, and we're not able to distinguish which ones are standing on their right to fight the condemnation, and which ones simply are being lazy or dismissive.
Right.
So the only way to get around that, I would say, as far as notice goes, is to let them know that
Right.
any more non-responsiveness will be considered refusing to grant the easement, and their property will be condemned.
Well, that would have to be MWRD's decision through the project,
Yes,
if that's how MWRD wants to
If I may make a
pursue.
suggestion, if we are going to set up another town hall meeting for these folks, I think the letter should come from the village, not MWRD. These people have already received 2 and 3 letters from MWRD, and the next envelope that comes, I'm sure is going to go right in the circular file. So my recommendation is that the letter come from the village, signed by the mayor, requesting their presence to please come to this town hall meeting so that we can review the purpose of the easement and hear their concerns and understand what their concerns are.
I think it worked better being out in the field.
I do too,
Walking
because-
Creek, and they could see exactly what's going on, and so you can reach out to see if there is an actual drop dead date that they have to sign, or they'll move forward with other options, or...
I'll do all that, Mayor.
Okay.
And I'll get back to the board in the email, okay?
And he's out of the office until, I think, the middle of next week. Yeah.
I would also make a recommendation that we do some kind of either messenger or certified mail to ensure that somebody in that household has received the invitation.
Yeah.
Well, they sent the first one out by certified mail, and...
Well, that was the easement package.
Correct.
Yeah.
And a lot of them...
Do we have any idea, can he tell us who didn't sign for him and sent them back?
I don't know.
I can tell you, some of these people on here, I know for a fact that they're individuals that work and nobody's home during the day.
I could go to the houses and card the office. We have cards with different variety of things that we have to have them call our office. I'll do that.
Okay.
When they call, I can find out if there's a reason, or just a definite no, I'll let you know.
Right, that's good.
That might be
I got a few, yeah.
a good way of doing
But
it.
on what it's about, I'll just say, could you call us if
Yeah.
you're concerned over something?
Then you can talk to them and find out, and
Yeah.
if they lost it, they've lost the packages, we can...
You see a lot of stuff on Facebook about people having problems with their mail. Some people just don't get enough mail, so they don't even check it. I'm one of them.
And that tax bill for that property at 4650 is going to 14320 Kilpatrick.
Wait, 4650, which number on
For
this
the
list?
Wilco lands,
It's going to where?
14320 Kilpatrick Avenue. That's
Yeah,
where the tax...
14320, exactly.
We know that, we worked through all of that.
And what is that? Is that a...
I think it's,
That's an invalid address. That was an invalid address, I believe. We worked through all of that back in
So you have
July.
this list?
You got it.
Then you'll tag all the homes that did not sign, get them to call you if they will. And then, enter enable, you'll reach out to Cedric when he gets back and
Yes, sir.
try to set something up. Okay.
Okay, and then, in addition to that, they wanted to know the status of the 6 pins that were going to be picked up by the land bank. I've got this from Terry Carter. I reached out to Brent Denson early this morning, and this is from Terry Carter, who I'm assuming is an attorney at Carter Legal Group. He said, Brent, the prove-up was done on October 17th, and the transcript and order were submitted to the judge to sign. We are just waiting on judge's signature. And then Brent said, hi Karen, see below for the update, should have deeds in the next 2 weeks. So when I responded, I sent that to everyone so that they know that MWRD knows that those 6 pins that they need are in the process of being acquired by the land bank. I also received this afternoon an email from Russ Ryden, the Executive Director of the South Suburban Land Bank and Development Authority, and I had talked about, was it last week or the week before, about a business owner that wants to expand their footprint in Midlothian. They've come to an agreement with this owner on a price. They're getting ready to take title and finalize everything. I talked about a redevelopment agreement, and I actually called Russ about this. So this property is going to be acquired not through the abandonment, so you don't have to go to court tomorrow. But you have to go to court on December 14th. Correct. Okay. These will be acquired via a deed in lieu of foreclosure, and they're getting ready to close. And so as soon as the land bank closes, they will go in, clear the taxes, and then there will be a transaction between the land bank and the business owner, and there will be a redevelopment agreement which Russ Ryden said that Brent Denson can incorporate into all the closing documents with board approval. So stay tuned. This is probably going to require another meeting, Don, but it looks like this is going to become a reality, and we'll have probably 7,500 more square feet of long abandoned vacant property in our TOD area redeveloped, and then you are on target to go on the other buildings on December 14th.
Correct.
So, again, the value, I can't talk enough about the value of the South Suburban Land Bank. They just do amazing things. So, enterprise zone meeting on next Wednesday, and I believe that's all I have this evening.
Thank you, ma'am. Trustee Ivan.
Thank you, Mayor. I only got one thing that I want to talk about, and I'm basically going to turn over a little bit of the description time to the Superintendent DeSimone for me, to get basically a brief description of the signage that we want to acquire for the buildings.
Trustee Ivan, we have a bunch of multifamily properties, specifically on Kilpatrick, that have lost emergency response time repeatedly, not once, twice, or 3 times, just in the short stay that I've been here. We've come up with an issue. I've talked to every one of the building owners that are in compliance because each one of their structures are premised properly. The way the code reads is they are code compliant. I've gone over it 100 times. So what we did is we sent out to bid signs that would be placed on our parkway that would direct emergency response, police, fire, and ambulance service to these multifamily properties where they're not going to be losing time. They'll be able to identify exactly where these buildings are located from Kilpatrick Street before going back into these common area driveways. The proposal we have received for what I'm calling Phase 1 will not exceed $1,000. It's right now at about $950. Public Works has offered to come in and do the labor and provide some of the post and/or fasteners for the signage. So the only thing we're sending out for contracts would be the actual printing of these reflective two-sided signs.
This project's been an ongoing problem for quite some time, and I'm very happy to make the motion for approval to purchase and install on the Parkway premise these ID signs for the multifamily buildings on Kilpatrick between 147th and 148th Street, not to exceed $1,000.
And I'll second.
Is there any discussion?
Are we going to tackle any other areas outside of Kilpatrick?
Yes, sir. Phase 2 has already been mapped out, and I have a schematic of it. The reason we prioritize Kilpatrick is because we recently had a fire in 6 unit or a neighboring second alarm response that lost time, and we've had ambulance time lost over there as well, so I thought that that would be the priority first and foremost. I have a feeling that there's going to be approximately over the next 2 years 5 phases to this project. This goes all the way back to development. Something should have been done when these structures were built. Like I said, I tried to enforce every code imaginable with the business owner, the building owners, and they did. They ID'd all their buildings sufficiently into code. This is just something, like I said, it'll cut our emergency response time down, and it's basically a life or death situation.
And of course, the other department heads agree with it?
Yeah, we've had, over the years, plenty of issues trying to find the right apartment to read a meter or to locate something.
How soon can you get the signs made?
He was telling me the turnaround time, once I go to order, could be within 21 days.
You have, Superintendent Sperry, you have no problem getting the poles in the ground?
Well, it's supposed to be 21 degrees this weekend, so...
Let that warm up again next week.
Oh, really? Okay. I just wasn't sure if we could put the poles in the ground while we wait for the
The frozen
signs.
ground is not a problem for Public Works.
Awesome.
They're used to it.
Okay.
All right, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Ivan.
Aye.
Trustee Kidney.
Aye.
Trustee Crowley.
Aye.
Trustee Gillis. Aye. Trustee Killedy.
Aye.
Trustee Kreis.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And that will be it for me.
Could I ask a question under your business? I'll ask it, Maggie's looking at me, the audit. Only because if we do the, do you have an update on the audit, or the mayor have an update on the audit?
I speak to Sean every day when I come in, and actually, he had two more helpers this week, trying to feverishly get the 15 done. And I know that Treasurer Breton is also feverishly working with them. There still has been a couple issues that they keep coming forward, or keep finding, and the one I heard the other day when I was sitting in there is they were off by $16,000 on something. Lauterbach is not going to put forth anything that's not 100% professional and accurate, so it's going to be within a week, 2, I don't know, it's going to be soon, I don't know.
We don't have a date, only because
No date.
the one for the IDA, we need the audit as well.
It'll be soon.
And that's due December 1st.
They've been working feverishly on it, and they've brought additional team members. That's more than what anyone could expect, that they stepped up to the plate to assist in resolving our issues and moving forward with this. So as soon as it's done and done accurately, they will produce it.
There's been 3 people in the office at one day. I think there's 3 people.
Well, I've seen them, I've been here during the day, and I've seen them working, and you did introduce me to somebody the other day.
And they also have a lot of staff that they're deploying at their offices as well to support us.
Okay. Trustee Gillis.
Yes, Mayor, I don't have anything to report, but I would like to make a brief statement regarding the trauma call that we did experience. I know trauma is something we don't want to get used to. I know the true professionalism of our first responder once again was exposed. I, as a board member, and I think I speak for the board, want to thank our first responders. Trauma is something we see daily. Unfortunately, something we don't want to get used to, but I think as a society, we have come to realize that it's something we're going to be exposed to quite often, but we never want to see it hit home. As first responders, I know each and every department and member tends to deal with it in different ways, and calls like this can have a lasting experience. And I truly think that we have very sound professionals that we are, as a board, very thankful for what you do and how you do it. And I, as a prior first responder, am very thankful for how this call was handled. And unfortunately, we lost a resident, but I think it couldn't have been handled any better than it was. So thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Trustee Caddy.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank the board for voting for the Rain Ready mailer that we're going to be trying to get out in the next couple weeks. I did put at your desks 2 different sheets with bids on them, so I'm happy to report that the cost to do this mailer will be significantly less than $6,100. The postage, of course, remains the same. We can't change that, except the original quote was based on 5,900 pieces, and I think that, Maggie Treasurer Britton was able to confirm that it's significantly less than that. It'll be roughly 4,500, give or take a few. We've got some bids here. One is from Daniels. Now, this is just for the printing of the letter and the Rain Ready brochure. For 4,500 pieces from Daniels, it was $1,018, and Matt Prim was able to get us quotes from 3 other printers. The least expensive one on that was in-print graphics for $1,025. So I need to still reach out to Matt and find out from him, what his opinions are about these 3 printers. I don't know anything about them. And I know that the village does use Daniels, correct? So what really drove the price down was Matt contacted me and said rather than us printing the Rain Ready guide on 2 sheets of paper front and back, they would run it through on 11 by 8, the big sheet, like 11 by 18, whatever that is, and then fold it in half, so that it would almost look like a brochure. And he said that was actually cheaper, because it goes, I was shocked too, because it goes, I thought the paper would be more expensive, but he said it goes through the printer only once or twice instead of 4 times or something like that, so it was cheaper simply because of putting it on the bigger paper, so. Anyhow, so I will drill down into this and get it nailed down as to, which vendor we should choose. And then Trustee Kreis and I met on Monday evening, and we went over the Rain Ready guide. We came up with a couple of specific important updates that we thought we needed to put on the Rain Ready guide for this particular mailing. At some point, if this Rain Ready citizen guide is going to be a living document and constantly being updated, we could work on that later. But just for purposes of getting this out immediately, we came up with some ideas, and thankfully Nicole, our computer whiz in-house and chief, was able to go into the PDF document and work some of those in. I haven't seen the final product yet. Trustee Kreis was working on an updated number for one of the...
I still have to do that,
Yeah,
and
for one
I
of the-
still think there's something else on the horizon. And just so you know, I did get an email yesterday from Dawn Thompson at CNT, and it says, "Hi Karen, I haven't forgotten about the Citizens Guide. I'm still exploring options with my acting CEO. I hope to have a response and definite answer this week."
Okay.
Okay, so they haven't forgot about us.
Okay. Well, I would like to get this out by Thanksgiving. So,
As soon as I hear from her, you will get the email, okay?
So that's kind of where we're at with that. My plan is still try to get this out by Thanksgiving, but it will be significantly less expensive than we thought it was going to be. So I will provide you more updates next week. Item number 2, I got a letter in the mail today from the Chamber of Commerce relative to the upcoming parade. I know last year I caused a little kerfuffle because I called and I said, what float number are we? And somebody said, there are no floats. I'm like, wait, what do you mean? You mean the village isn't going to be in the parade? There's no village float? And then someone said, well, there's never a float. It's walking groups. I'm like, okay, walking groups float, whatever. What's the difference? So anyhow, so I'm just bringing this up to everyone's attention. I don't know if anybody else got this in the mail today. It just came today, so I'm assuming we're all going to get one of these.
I spoke with Jack Hilly today. He is offering his smaller float for free, like he did for the 4th of July parade again, for the Christmas parade. And anyone that's welcome, that wants to, is welcome to walk the ride on the float.
Will all of the village departments, like I know last year, Public Works had a truck in it, and I know that, some people walked, some people rode, Team Midlothian was in it, so are we going to have, what I would like to do, including Team Midlothian, since they're a community organization that works so closely with the village, invite all of the different village committees, the safety committee, community policing committee, beautification committee, Team Midlothian, anybody who's going to be on Keep Midlothian Beautiful, get all the village committees, send this out to them or something, somehow get in touch with them and let them know that as a village committee, they're welcome to walk with the village or ride on the village parade, and then we'll all walk together.
Maybe I'll talk to Mike Hollingsworth and see if he can stage all of the village float and the village committees all together. And then we'll be in a procession all together, so.
Yeah, that would be nice, whether we're walking or riding. I won't make that mistake again.
Or sledding if there's snow.
Yeah, exactly. I attended the library's last talk, if you will, with regards to their climate change presentation. They had 3. I went to the last one on Saturday. It was very informative. One of the books that was reviewed was a book about a gentleman who, the book was about how his life and his family's life profoundly changed after the events of Hurricane Katrina. Family was kind of like living their happily ever after, so to speak, just going about their business. And when the hurricane came, he made his family evacuate, but he stayed behind to help. And when he stayed behind to help, he was arrested. And because of his Muslim background, was thrown into a detention center that was kind of like a Guantanamo Bay in the United States that I never even knew existed. And from there, his life just kind of spiraled out of control. And so it was just kind of a little bit of a wake-up call for me in that we've seen a lot of families who have lost their homes here in Midlothian over, during the past decades because of flooding here. So it just kind of solidified my resolve to continue to move forward and work with Superintendents D. Simone and Sperry and Engineer Nagel and MWRD to keep the village moving forward and, do what we can to bring some more flood mitigation to town and so that our citizens don't have to go through such horrific events. The library is going to be hosting another presentation. This is going to be, the presenter will be Ellen Cleese. She's a member and volunteer for Citizens Climate Lobby, and she's the co-chair of the Green Sanctuary Group of the Beverly Unitarian Church. She's going to be speaking at the library on Thursday, November 30th at 6:30 p.m. And her Citizens Climate Lobby is a grassroots advocacy organization that has about 400 chapters across the United States. And the discussion is going to be, the presentation is going to be the economic impacts of climate change in the Midwest and legislative action. So I plan on attending, and I would urge anybody else who is available that evening to also attend.
Can you send that information to all of us?
Right here, I've got it, yes. I'll get it over to everybody. Last but not least, everybody's been over at the Rain Ready Community Garden cleaning up Reuse-A-Palooza. I'm going to send out a reminder to everyone tonight or tomorrow to please have their scarecrows taken down. So I'm at home making a mental list last Friday about all the scarecrows are out there. I thought, oh, I'm missing a few. So I took my piece of paper out there, and my list grew from 10 to 28. We had 28 scarecrows that were built by 23 groups. So I think that's fabulous and outstanding.
That is outstanding.
So I'm hoping that this was our kickoff Reuse-A-Palooza, and as part of Keep Midlothian Beautiful, we will do Reuse-A-Palooza every year. So I talked to Superintendent Sperry. The backside of my car is loaded with boxes filled with fall decorations that need to be stored. And there are still fall decorations out on the table that need to be packed up, and scarecrows that need to be taken down as well. So anyhow, so I will work with Superintendent Sperry on finding nooks and crannies around the village to store this stuff for next year.
And Trustee Gillis, I have the remains of Corey Crawford to return to you.
If you want.
One-way parts, they don't come back, remember?
You don't want those valuable things that I have that
was
were...
kind enough to deliver the dismantled scare-down Chicago Bear scarecrow to me last year, which sat in a bag in my basement all year and then got resurrected this year. So if you do have the parts and pieces, if you want to clean up the clothes, shockingly, the penguin's robe went through the washing machine and didn't fall apart, which shocked me. The clothes do need to get cleaned out, just because when you have those plastic bags inside from all the rain we've had, they get a little moldy. So if you can run them through a rinse cycle or something, or wash them up, I'll be happy to store any remnants of any scarecrows that were up. So I would urge everyone to save their scarecrow outfits, because they are definitely reusable.
If I could just make a comment, I'm hearing from a number of people, not just Midlothian residents, but residents from other towns that happen to drive by and see it. They just absolutely love what you're doing there, and it's making a big impact on everyone. So I wanted to thank you all for doing what you're doing over there, and it really does put Midlothian in a super light, and we can't thank you enough.
Thank you. Oh, and one last thing. We do have, like last year, we have put up the 10 Christmas trees, so we're going to have the 10 Christmas trees up again and decorated this year. And we're not infringing on any of the trees or the groups that are from the
Village Green?
Village Green. We're just going to, decorate them ourselves. And the big evergreen tree will get decorated also. So we're going to try and work out some solutions for lighting. I'm concerned about running extension cords everywhere, because if people want to walk through and look at the trees, I don't want there to be any trip hazards. So we're thinking about doing some spotlights or something like that. So I probably will come to the board and ask for a little bit of expenditure of $200 for some extra extension cords and some spotlights specifically for this area, which shouldn't be too expensive. I've gotten spotlights at grills, for my own front yard that are, $20, so. And that's all I have.
Thank you, ma'am. Trustee Kilby.
Well, I have some words here today. First of all, trees. I'm going to ask the mayor if you have successfully contacted Superintendent Hollingsworth.
Deputy Clerk Clackey hasn't spoken to him specifically, but she's spoken to his secretary numerous times, and she has produced a flyer that will be sent to the schools.
Because I got an application today for a tree from Spalding, so I would...
I think there's been some confusion. The ornament contest has nothing to do with who does a tree. The schools can do trees. This is a specific ornament contest that kids can get involved if they want to. It's not circumventing a school from doing a tree. So I don't know why. I was told that Bob Peters already sent letters out to the schools. Like you said, the letters weren't sent to the schools, but they were.
Were they?
Well, that's why you got a response from one of the schools.
Okay.
They were sent.
Because
so the schools can still do trees. It's not a...
So it's okay if the schools do that, and then we want them to do an additional ornament for the contest?
If they want to. It's up to the kids. Not every kid's going to want to get involved in this, but they might want a chance to light the tree.
Typically with the trees, when the school does it, it's like a class, like the Spanish Club did, I think Colmar Street. And this parent-teachers group did Spalding's. So that's typically what happens when the school does some group gets assigned the honor of doing the tree.
The ornament contest will be an individual contest from any kid that wants to get involved, and so it's not preventing the schools from doing the tree or clubs from doing the tree or whatever.
Okay. Number 2 would be Bake in the Central Park tentatively wants to hold their bake sale for the Victory Women's Center at November 18th. Saturday, November 18th from 11 to 1, so I will be present for that to make sure the building's available. And we have to confirm that date tomorrow to
Is
make
that
sure
the
nothing...
Saturday before Thanksgiving?
23rd is, yes, Thanksgiving, so it's the Saturday before Thanksgiving.
Oh, so they're not going to do it on that Wednesday then?
No,
Okay.
no, because it was the day before Thanksgiving, which was sort of like, I suggested it wouldn't be such a good turnout, so
You mean this room?
it's going to be this room. And so I'm going to confirm that with Nicole tomorrow, is that okay? And make sure it's available.
Or you can do that.
And then
No, Saturday, the 18th, from 11 to 1.
11 to 1, and they will send out flyers to everyone. They requested that we put the event on our signboard, and hopefully they'll do more, we can cooperate in other publicity, with our, Facebook, and also get in the messenger, things like that. We want to make it a big thing, and if we want to donate some baked goods to help make this sale a success, by all means, please do.
Thank you for taking care of that, Tom. That's fantastic. Thank you.
Oh, they're a fantastic group. I mean, this is just super awesome. And I think that's the only 2 things I do have.
Thank you, sir.
Do they give you a drop-off time or whatever for baked goods if the sales from 11 to 1? Do we have a...
I'm sure it has to be open earlier, so we'll have to talk about that. I just heard about this today. Yeah, probably about 9, I imagine. And we'll have to have some setup scheme for the tables, so, they can do that. And
You bringing your cookies, Jack?
Well, I haven't done my homework yet, but yes, there will be pink Midlothian signature cookies.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
If you guys want to tell me how to package them and how much you're willing to pay for it.
Wow, they're at least worth $1 a piece.
Cookies.
Okay, that's it.
That's it.
Trustee Crowley.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to actually remove the ordinance that we had put on here at the beginning of the week. We were not able to meet and discuss it. We have a few changes, so I'll be adding that for discussion for next week's meeting. We were just able to meet before this meeting, so we didn't have enough time to get the corrections that we needed. Second, the only update I think we have from the building department and the police department is you guys went out and talked to the storage facility, is that correct? And
Requested a letter so that we can corporate, but we're asking them to remove those, so we have to send out an email to them today.
Okay. So then we'll just, once that's done, we'll just make sure it's removed and then for...
Our appropriate signage here, you can put
Okay.
it in the email that we'll make the parking restrictions or...
Okay.
I'm sorry, I thought I copied you. I did copy you on that.
I don't know.
I did.
I'll have to check.
Yeah,
Yeah,
check the emails.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you'll just let us know when it's all done and taken care
I
of?
think they were asking for 21 days upon receipt of the email with, it was very condensed. It just stated that no permission was ever granted. We're asking for the removal of the sign and the designated yellow parking spots on the street.
Okay.
And that the village would be further looking into the parking situation on Lawndale.
Okay.
All right?
So I'm not sure if you were here when we discussed it, but you guys coordinated, so you know what we had decided at the board meeting last time?
We've had a
Okay.
few talk about
Okay.
it. Yes.
All right, good. Thank you. That's really all I have today, except I do want to expand on something that trustee Gillis brought up. Our first responders and what they do, we don't always realize it on a day-to-day basis. And, I'm a pretty private person, but I had the unpleasant experience of having to go to the emergency room myself recently. And thankfully, to our first responders, our police and our firefighters and our paramedic who happens to be hiding his head in the back, I want to extend my deepest appreciation for everything that was done. The professionalism, the skill set, you don't realize what happens or how you feel in that situation, especially when you're a person who kind of likes to be in control. But you are...
Nobody up here.
But I will say that had I been, I don't think I admitted anything, trustee, but thank you. I will say, had I not had the professionalism and the encouragement from our first responders that I had on that day, I probably would have had more severe injuries that would have taken longer to heal and may have required surgery. So to the fire department and to the police department, and especially to the paramedics that day, thank you very much. I do have a letter that I'm drafting for each individual's file, but I personally wanted to let everybody know how appreciative I am. Oh, and from the mouth of my 11-year-old granddaughter, which did cause a little bit of a problem at home, Nani, it is so good that you have the best police and fire department ever.
I concur. How's the air in your head?
Well, still a little bit of air there, sir. Thank you very much.
Just checking. Concerned about your health.
Just a little bit.
Thank you, ma'am. Move on to department heads. Chief Hotwagner.
I have nothing here.
Chief Delaney.
Severity getting us out.
Superintendent DeSimone.
Solidarity, sir.
May I ask Chief
Superintendent Sperry.
I'm with the boys.
Don't let me down, Nagel. Engineer Nagel.
I got nothing, Mr. President. You want some other stuff? I can give you other stuff. But
You guys are a bunch of chickens today.
I'll go quick. A couple items. The ground storage reservoir, I think I reported last time that it's better shape. We're going to take bids before the year's out, and then we'll start work sometime in the early winter on that.
You said it's better shape
It's in better shape
than you anticipated?
Yeah, we got a chance to get inside it. We couldn't get inside it until the elevate tank was up and running. So when the elevate tank was up and running, we took it down and we got inside and did a visual inspection. But we're still going to bid out both options. We're still going to bid out the full removal and the patch, just because we got the contractor in a competitive bidding mode as opposed to not having that, looking at an extra labor. So we'll have both numbers to do a review on. On the RTA job, the mayor signed the cover page. That's going to be submitted. The final plans are going in on that. On the MWRD televised clean smoke testing of manhole. Joe Sperry has the draft copy of what we found out there. And it's kind of staggering. We found about $700,000 worth of work that has to get done. We got to communicate with MWRD, see what kind of schedule they're looking at on it. That work's going to consist of manhole repair and sewer line. Okay? We also working with the MWRD on an ordinance that you have to pass in 2019 on the private property program you're going to have and how you're going to force the private property owners to repair their sanitary sewer lines that they own. For example, they own their service line, they own their downspouts and their gutters, they own their clean-out costs. And with that, it's going to take a long time to get this ordinance in place. But what's going to have to happen is that we have to get the ordinance preliminary approved by the board, submit it to the MWRD, they got a preliminary approval, it's going to come back to the board has to approve it, then it's going to give it back to the MWRD on it. There's going to be some financial consequences for the residents for not complying. And for example, they have this term they're using, it's called a high priority, low cost improvement. It's like a clean-out cap, and it's like a downspout connected in. You just put a downspout gutter bend on it. Those have to be replaced or repaired within 90 days. They have high cost, high priority improvements that have to get done, such as foundation drains, area drains, window well drains. These are very expensive to fix. A lateral line costs about $10 grand. This is going to be $10,000 to $15,000 improvements that they're asking the village to put on the property so that when it's sold, before it's sold, it has to be inspected and approved and repaired. So you're asking the seller to spend maybe $15,000, $20,000 to get the sewer repaired. They're not forcing the homeowners to do it unless the property is transferred. So all this is coming down in a couple of years. We need to start the conversation now. This is going to be a big deal for everybody, and we got to start getting it going. So that's happening with the...
Excuse me, Engineer Nagel, quick question. Does MWRD have some sort of template ordinance that they have prepared that we can use to start tomorrow?
This is it here.
Oh, there's a template.
We're working with Mr. Sperry on this. We're not telling them it's for the village. We're telling them it's for one of our clients. And Joe's going to be the guinea pig, who's going to help us get through, and then when it does, it'll be much cheaper for you in that end, so. Yeah, we got the ordinance here, we were lined out what we want to change. We're pushing the villages and the towns to have a cost-sharing fund with the resident, 50-50-50. You currently don't have that in place. They can't force you to have it in place. And so the way this is written is that your standards are now that all private property sewer repair is borne by the private property owner. Okay, that could change, and that all depends how you want to handle it.
So that $700,000 you think you've identified is just in the 10% of the town that was inspected?
Keep this in mind. That's the worst 10% in town. They wanted us to pinpoint the worst part of the town to remove the most I&I. And with Joe's experience and all his historical background here, this was the area that had the most basement backups and the sanitary sewer overflows. And we found some. So as we get away from that area, we won't be seeing $700,000 for the 10%. It'll be going down. But there's nothing mandating you to do anything else besides your 10%.
Right now.
Right now, correct. But it's an asset. You have three major assets: your roads, your sewers, and your waters. You have to control your assets, keep your assets in check so that you're not paying much more in the future on too. I mean, if you don't maintain your assets, you can bail on you, it could cost you more to replace them as opposed to maintain them. So think of it as asset management.
You love your sewers.
I'm a sewer man. And there's also on that, of the defects we found 27 private property defects, and it costs about $44,000 to fix that. So there's going to be probably 27 properties with a letter saying we found this on your property, and if it's a low cost, high priority, you have to fix it within 90 days. If it's the high cost, high priority, you got to notify them saying that you have to fix it eventually, more than likely be on the sale of your property. Okay? And I think it's incumbent to everybody to have the seller fix it as opposed to the buyer fix it. So.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
On some of these properties that might have this big thing, a big repair that has to be done. Say it's someone who owns the property, who doesn't have the financial wherewithal to do it, but when they sell the home at the day of closing, they may be getting, money from the sale of the home. Could the ordinance be written such that the house could be sold as is, subject to an escrow being set up where the seller deposits, let's say it's 10 grand to fix, where the seller deposits 10 grand into an escrow account, and then the buyer has, depending on the time of year, the buyer has 90 days, or I don't know how long, to redo a service line, I have no idea how long that would take to fix. So is 90 days reasonable?
Yeah, it is. I think.
Okay, so if it's winter time, obviously, they might not be able to do it if it's frozen, so.
I apologize to interject here.
Oh, no, it's okay.
I've actually been pushing the board
Yes.
to.
And this is why I brought it up.
The sale inspections.
Uh-huh.
This would be a much easier time. It's proven itself in most municipalities. Yes, this is a very burdensome cost to pass on an owner, okay? But what has worked successfully is escrow funds are created, and I know it's more beneficial for the seller to incur or absorb the cost, but a lot of times this can help in a negotiation to purchase this property, okay? Escrow funds are created, they're deposited with the village, and they're not re-released back to the potential buyer or the seller until those things are 100% satisfied. So we're killing two birds with one stone at that point. We're taking care of these for sales because we have a lot of young couples that are coming in and picking up some of our single-family homes and pennies on the dollar, and they're not even 40% code compliant. And that's been an issue for me since I've been with the village of Midlothian. It's proven itself in many other places, and I think in conjunction with what Engineer Nagel's putting together, if we could do these point-of-sale inspections, I think it would make this go a lot smoother and a lot easier for our residents.
Just to follow up on what the village engineer has said, where the inequalities or the inequities occur is when the owners or the sellers or the buyers are not aware of this,
Right.
of this burden. And so it helps everyone to make sure that the seller knows of his obligation and to make, the village does everything it can to make sure that the buyer's aware of the liability too.
That would happen during our inspections.
Right. I would be 1,000% in favor of going along with Superintendent DeSimone's suggestion that we institute a policy of doing requiring the seller to do an inspection. I mean, as it stands, buyers usually, when they come in to buy a home, they usually want to hire an outside inspector to come in and inspect the home. And I can't tell you how many friends I've had personally who've bought homes that were inspected by an inspector only to find out that wiring was bad, there was mold in the attic that was never caught, all kinds of problems that cost them thousands of dollars down the road to fix. So if we can circumvent that and, charge a nominal fee to have a pre-sale inspection done by the village, I think that would be to our best interest. Sellers will complain about it up front, but you know what? Their buyer doesn't have to spend $400 to bring in a private inspector to inspect their home. They're already going to have an inspection from the village.
Make it happen.
The going rate right now for a mail order inspector, and that's who these real estate agents, potential buyers and sellers are spending the money, it's about $400 to $450. If the village charges a nominal fee of $50 to $100 to do these inspections by licensed professionals, I think it's benefiting everybody involved.
Who would do the inspection?
Well, we would all, our staff would. I would do the building inspections, our electrical inspector would do the electrical. We used to do a caravan in the larger municipality. We would go out and do these, we clock out 3 days a week. That's all we did is point sale inspections, commercial, industrial, and residential. Licensed electrician.
I'm sorry, so it would be the same inspection that you would get from a home inspector that's coming in, checking everything, the vents?
Not even comparable.
I mean, the same, I don't mean the same quality, I meant the same type of inspection.
Right.
It
We're
would
looking at everything from structural to wiring defects to anything, everything. We're covering everything.
Who knows our code better than us?
Yeah.
It's important to know that the purpose of that inspection would be to provide notice to the buyer of code issues.
Right.
Obviously, the village does not want to get into business
To take on the
of warranting inspections
Right.
for third parties.
Exactly.
I think it would be good if you could give us some of those towns that do it, so we could talk to them and see how it works. I think that's
a
one
good
thing
idea.
we definitely need.
And trustee, I think what you'll find is that there's numerous buyers that end up trying to sue the municipality for the inspections that are done. It happens all the time. Usually, overwhelmingly, almost all the time, the village wins because they don't warrant what they're doing. It's specifically for code violations and the things that we're warranting what the village is going to do to them if they're not in compliance with the code. We're not warranting that we've inspected their premises for their purposes.
Okay, so you're going to make this happen? Okay.
Because you see how complicated it's going to be, and we have to have this ordinance in place before 2019. So that's why we're starting it now. So it's great. It's great we're getting the conversation going, and all the departments can start chiming in. But I would say that we'll have some kind of answer from the MWRD on the template ordinance in probably about 30 days. And then with that, then we start building on to make it special, Midlothian just the way we want it.
Perfect.
Jelly homes will be done on Friday. Starting to be done on Friday. Mr. Spear has already seen a draft of it. We're going to have the final date information. Lastly, what we have on this is that I got a great call from ComEd. ComEd said that the Historical Society is eligible and kind of indicated that they're probably going to get some free grants to do electrical upgrades for energy efficiency, lighting, heating, and cooling. I talked to Trustee Gillis to see if he had any background on it. Lo and behold, they don't. What happens at ComEd is like reaching out to different people, and they reached out to us in regards to the Historical Society, and I told Mr. Gills that I will follow through with that on that and find out what's available, what costs, and I'll send the board an email on it too.
Thank you.
That's all I got.
May I ask one question I forgot to ask of Superintendent Sperry and Chief Delaney? Relative to the citations, I think it was 7 or 11 citations that were issued for violation of our signage ordinance for businesses on 147th Street. Were those tickets, or were those just like citation warnings, giving them X amount of days? Huh? Yeah, and the flags.
I believe they were just notice of violations and for them to correct it.
And how long do they get to correct? 7 days?
7 to 10.
Okay, I think they're beyond their 7 to 10 days, and they're still out there. Okay, thank you.
Trustee Britton? Trustee Britton. Treasurer Britton? Thank you. Attorney Valdez?
Just a quick update, the numerous cases that the village is involved in litigation are progressing, especially towards settlement. I will report the developments and the options available to the village at the next board meeting in an executive session. And I would also note that there's some developments in the suburban joint agency, water agency, the Jawa case, which I will also report to executive session.
Okay, so on my business, next week will be a special meeting, special board meeting, so can you do it that night instead of the night before Thanksgiving?
Yeah, good idea.
Sure, yeah. That's,
Superintendent Sperry has some time-sensitive things that he wants to get approved, so we're going to make next week a special board meeting. All right, under my business, I'm looking for a motion to approve. Motion for me to execute the contract with Antero Group for performance of Task 1, the Loma preliminary study.
Mayor, I'd like to move for postponement of the consideration to the first regular meeting in December. There's still some loose ends we have to tie up here before we can say for sure that we know everything we should know.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Can we have discussion
Discussion
first?
on
Okay. Can you share with us what the loose ends are, or will
There are
will that be presented to us at some point?
Yes, yes. But basically, we have to look at, there might be still some contractual issues. At some point, the Loma contract did have legal review, but there seems to be some little things that we don't know about in the contract, how it's going to work out.
Are these issues that
Monetary, it doesn't...
Eric Mayhew has, or that you have, or we need to have him come in and discuss this with us?
Well, to clarify what the charges would be, we're not quite so sure how the contract is going to work on charges for different events like meetings, is he going to come to the village and talk to us at some point, or is that what's extra and what's included in the contract is a little nebulous. There's also some questions about what information is already available that we maybe don't have to go through this process, and maybe we can, is there a way of not doing this, the cost of this, and doing it another way? And...
Was that the engineer's recommendation, that there might be...
Not from Antero.
Okay.
They came up that maybe there's information from MWRD, and you had some concerns about the Loma too, I believe.
I don't think I really had that many concerns. I mean, the mayor reminded us last week that the board approved that contract, so I wasn't gonna, rehash it. But if there are concerns, if there are some things that we need...
I think it needs rehashing.
If there are things that we need to address, then maybe we should put it on the agenda for next week, and if you could give us in advance of next week, items that we need to think about or talk about.
Yes, that's fine.
And if Engineer Nagy needs to come here to answer some questions, then maybe we should invite him to come.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, roll call?
What are we voting on?
Table?
Motion to postpone the question.
Okay.
We have to give a specific time on the date of the postponement. Is it open-ended?
It's a specific time.
It could be indefinitely, or you can make it a specific date, whichever the board's pleasure is.
Indefinitely, or?
Definitely is better, but I thought we had to do it for a specific date. That's
You
right.
can do either one.
Definitely is fine.
So, motion to postpone the question of executing the contract with Ontario Group for the performance of the Task 1 of the Loma preliminary study. There's a motion and a second, and it is for indefinite period of time. Roll call.
Trustee Kelly?
Aye.
Trustee Kreis?
Aye.
Trustee Kami?
Aye.
Trustee Crowley?
Aye.
Trustee Gillis?
Aye.
Trustee Ivan?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. I'm looking for a motion to approve Devon High School to do their annual door-to-door canned food drive on November 27th and December 9th, and the food will be donated to the area food banks.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Kreis?
Aye.
Trustee Kami?
Aye.
Trustee Crowley?
Aye.
Trustee Gillis?
Aye.
Trustee Ivan? Aye. Trustee Kelly?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, John Weglars, the part owner of the Dollar General Advanced Auto Building, is still hoping to get a Class 8 over there. I've met with him several times and told him that he would have to put substantial investment into the property, He came back this week with a prints on what he wants to do with the property. Boils down to working with the front of his property along Cicero to try to make it look a lot like across the street, to try to get a cohesive look on our landscaping, streetscaping over there. I'm looking for him to give me a dollar amount of what he wants to invest in their property so that I can bring that to the board to see if the board would be willing to give him that Class 8. So at this time, Superintendent DeSimone is looking to prints, and he'll get back to me on what he thinks about the...
Plans have been reviewed, Mayor. I say one small glitch, but it's a nice idea, and it's going to definitely beautify that section of Cicero.
Is just updating like the streetscape enough? I thought that Class 8s, and I might be mixing this with something else, I thought that Class 8s, the property owners were required to invest substantial improvements in the building itself, not just, you know.
It's up to the village board to agree to the Class 8 or not.
And typically, doesn't it have to be, other than special circumstances, it has to be vacant for 12 months? Correct?
That is correct. That's part of the process. But again, the village board can always agree to give a Class 8, despite not being vacant for 12 months. I'm just doing my due diligence and bringing to the board a recommendation or request from a business owner. So we'll look at the finalize what you got to do, and I'll get some more information for you all, and I will send it to you. So next week is going to be a special board meeting. If you have anything that's time sensitive, time urgent, please get it on that agenda for next week so we can get it all done before the following week's very abbreviated board meeting the night before Thanksgiving. Comcast will launch up to 42 international channels and up to 30 new international packages beginning December 6th. This is if you have Comcast. This one is kind of important. This I would like to see in the paper. I could probably give you a copy of this. I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Kim. This is from PACE. They're reevaluating they constantly reevaluate their systems, and what they have found that our routes here in Midlothian, or all the routes, I guess, they allow people just to stand anywhere and flag the bus down and the bus will stop. They are no longer going to allow that. If you can only be picked up or dropped off at a designated bus stop. So this is something new. According to this, we only have 3 PACE bus stops. I thought we had more.
No, we have more than that.
According to this...
There might be 3 places that they do the designated wave down. I've seen people where they stand.
There is not going to be any more wave downs. You're going to have
No,
to...
I mean, there might be only three sections that they do that, like over by CVS. There's no sign there, but there seems to be people always standing out by CVS flagging the bus.
These are the 3 stops that they have listed for the Midlothian, village of Midlothian.
Where are they?
Kedzie and 145th, Kedzie and 147th, Kedzie and 149th.
Well, we have, I think it's 6 bus stops, so...
This is just PACE. Just
Yeah.
PACE bus.
That would be the only ones impacted. I know we have 6 shelters at 6 spots, and I know there's at least 4 or 5 on in my quadrant. So that number is
incorrect.
147th in Cicero, there's one 149th in Cicero.
Yeah.
So that's something I could reach out to PACE and find out why they only have 3 listed, because there should be a lot more than 3. Okay. But anyways, the moral of the story is that they're no longer going to allow waving down a bus from wherever you're standing. You're going to have to be picked up or dropped off at one of the designated bus stops. Thought that was important to let all of the riders know.
What are they going to do about the bus that goes down 147th Street? It isn't going to pick up people anymore?
I think that's what we're talking about, is that we know that there is actual designated bus stop signs for PACE on 147th, so. Right, I'll have to call them and find out why those aren't listed. Did I bring up the Stag High School Music Boosters is having Art for the Season, Arts and Crafts Festival, this weekend, November 11th and 12th, at Stag High School. And that's all I have. And I will be attending the Veterans Day ceremony at Central Park School Friday morning. And that's all I have. Clerk?
Just a few quick updates. I will be in the next day or so sending 2 messages to the board. One is a copy of the schedule of the committee meeting minutes, not our committee, but our committees. When they meet, we need to publish an update of that on December 1st, so I will send to you what we have if you would kindly look at it for your committees and get back to Marie and I with any changes or updates on times, dates, locations. We will be sure that's updated, and then once we have it consolidated, I'll share that with everyone. And I'm sure you're all excited to know I'll be sending you more minutes.
Yay!
You will have the meeting minutes this evening for September 20th, and I do believe that by the time we get to the middle of December, we will be entirely caught up. So thank you again for your patience in reading through all of that. I'm sure it's everyone's favorite bedtime reading.
You're sending more tonight?
There will be some tonight, yes.
Wow.
I know it'll be something for you to do first thing tomorrow if you like, or when you get home tonight. I'll be waiting for you. And that is all I have tonight.
Thank you, sir. Seeing as there are no further business coming for the board, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
A motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting is adjourned.
No executive session. Oh.
Wow, it's early for us.
We're going to just do whatever extends everything to that today. You want to do a letter to extend based on the charge. Based on the I think we're going to
Yeah, that's important.
I think for next week, we're going to ask you for and if I get a job before it's all over, then they'll cut me a check. Come and share about it.